Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about American politics, and we're going to talk about the 2025 movie Running Man, starring Glen Powell and Josh Brolin. Excellent film. Really enjoyed it. I think it had a lot to say, and I think it made some extremely important political statements. So what is this a movie about? So by the way, spoilers for all of 2025 Running Man here. So this movie is about a man who decides to go on the Running Man. And what this is you go onto the show, and then you can be legally hunted. People have the permission to kill you, right, for 30 days. And if you make it through, you're a millionaire. And even as you go through each of your the stages, the people that you choose, and for Glen Powell in this movie, it's his family, his wife and his daughter, who is sick. She has some type of respiratory disease, and they will get the money. They'll get money for every day so you survive, right? And there's even ways to earn for them extra, even beyond just surviving, right? There's lots of ways to earn money. And there's a rich flow of cash that goes from the man who signs up for the Running Man, and then whoever he chooses, whether that's his, and in this case it's his wife and his daughter, right? So what's really interesting about this film is, so one of the things that I find really fascinating is, so I like good moral, ethical values, right? So where do I get that? I go to church on Sunday, and I listen to the pastor, and he preaches the word, and he just brings that truth right out of the Bible. I also read the Bible, right? I would go in and read the Bible, get that ethical truth, right? All right. Now, when I want to be entertained, or I want to find something interesting, I don't go to any Christians, right? And the reason why is Christians are extremely uninteresting. They're very uninteresting to talk to. And the reason why is, especially when Christians are talking to Christians, hey, what do you think about this? Well, we both know what we think about it. The answers are in the Bible. We both agree with the Bible. Done. Right? Do we even need to talk? But, and also, we have the solution to every problem, right? Like, we don't even have to discuss it, right? Like, and this is incredibly valuable from a life perspective, right? But it is incredibly boring to deal with Christians and to talk to Christians, right? Now, I will admit there is something weird here. I'm a Christian, and strangely, people do find me fascinating to talk to. I'm not kidding. It's not just, I got 3,600 followers here. Like, this isn't like saying Scott Garibay is an interesting guy. That's not just me. A lot of people say that, right? Like, like people will take my content, play it, and commentate on it, right? Like, I'm an interesting guy. I have a lot to say. I don't, and there's a lot that goes into that. I want to stay focused on this video. So I am a little bit of an exception to the rule that I just said, which is very interesting. Now, make no mistake. Actually, I have faith. I will see Jesus. I will be in heaven. Other people are like, wait a second. Are you sure you're a Christian, Scott? And so that, and actually, nobody know. Well, actually, I would say there are ways to know if people are Christians or not. But anybody who's been raised in the church, then all bets are off, because you can get a lot of wolves with sheep's clothing. But there are ways to tell people are not Christians. A good one is Donald Trump. He is absolutely not a Christian. You want to know? I love this. I never get sick of saying this. They said, hey, are you a Christian? He goes, of course I'm a Christian. I go to church. Nope. That is the best way to know you're not a Christian, right? Like, that might qualify you to be a Catholic, but you are not a Christian, right? Like, okay. All right. And the reason why is Christians believe Jesus Christ established salvation. You don't get to go to heaven because you go to church. That's not how Christianity works. Any actual Christian knows that, right? Okay. All right. But if there's a purity test, it does get interesting, because, it's very interesting. All right. So this movie is Hollywood putting forward what it thinks is a parody, right? But this is really fascinating. Hollywood doesn't recognize parody anymore. There's In the movie, there's a liquid death advertisement where they're like, liquid death, murder your thirst. And they're like, ooh, isn't that cool that we put liquid death in our movie and it's this cool, gritty parody of an advertisement? No, that's not an advertisement. That's not, actually, that's not parody. That's an advertisement. You don't understand parody, right? And so what's really interesting is I think that the Hollywood producers of this thought they were making some points in this film. They made points, but not the ones they thought, right? So what is the point of this movie that is worth paying attention to, that is absolutely carried by the film, in my humble opinion? Useful death. Men want to have an avenue for a useful death, right? All right, so Glen Powell, he is a husband and he's a father, okay? But he sucks at work. He cannot control his anger, and he is constantly getting fired, right? So his wife is supporting him, right? And he's like, you know what? I don't want to do this, right? And he's like, and he goes in to see what shows he can be on, and they're like, you're going to be great on the Running Man, and if you do this, like tonight, your daughter is suffering from respiratory, can't breathe as well as she should. Tonight, we will deliver cash to your daughter and your wife, and every day you're here, your family will get money, right? And they're like, you have lived a very unuseful life, but you can have a useful death, right? And the thing is, they present this like it's some kind of science fiction concept. It's not. This is very much needed. I think a lot of men today are finding themselves like when you're over 50, right? What's going to happen? Your body's going to fall apart, and every single thing you do, you're going to get worse at, right? Why should you remain here a day after 50, right? You've led a useful life. You've worked hard, supported the people who love you, given to your children, but now going forward, you're just going to be a drain on them, right? And I think a lot of guys are like, okay, so you want me to stick around till 60, 70, and 80? I'm a drain on my wife. I'm a drain on my kids. Every single thing I do, I'm going to be worse at it, right? Or is there a way for me to have a useful death? Can I trade my death for wealth for them? And so I walked out of this movie going, oh my gosh, we should have death sports. We should have death sports immediately. And here's why. So first of all, if you don't know this, boxing is dead. Nobody gives two rats about boxing. You know how I could tell? You know how you could tell I'm right? Who's the heavyweight champion of the world? Right? Every day until 2000, I could tell you who it was. Muhammad Ali, right? Mike Tyson, right? These guys were known worldwide, right? Back in the day, you knew you didn't have to wonder who the heavyweight champion of the world was. The whole world knew, right? Now you could walk down any main street in America with $1,000 in hand and say, who is the boxing heavyweight champion of the world? And you'd have every dime of your money by the time you got to the end of that street, because nobody would be able to tell you. One of the reasons why is the MMA is here. MMA is here. And MMA, once you have watched even three fights of MMA, you'll never watch boxing again. It's utterly useless. And this is what I'm saying. MMA, that was fun. That was a cute little phase. Let's move to death sports, right? I will tell you right now, there will be a line. There will be a line of guys who are like, oh yeah, absolutely. I don't want to be here 80 years old, clutching a saw, sipping tea, and being a drain on my family. If you can give me an avenue to give my family thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions, I'm in. Let's go. Where's the paperwork, right? Running Man is not a parody. It's a solution. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. You get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.